Violence in America. ABC News today is placing special emphasis on the issue. A bipartisan group of senators now working to reach a compromise on a reform package, while others heard from people who lost loved ones to a recent series of deadly shootings. Garnell Whitfield's mother was one of the 10 killed when a gunman opened fire last month at a supermarket in Buffalo, New York.
Pass legislation, do whatever you need to do to protect the citizens of this country, which we are. Do your job. That's all.
Whitfield testifying at a Senate Judiciary Committee hearing on domestic terrorism. A native of Uvalde, Texas, taking his appeal for gun reform to the White House briefing room.
Matthew McConaughey describing in graphic detail what the bullets of an AR-15 style weapon will do to a small child.
Many children were left not only dead, but hollow.
McConaughey sharing this heartbreaking detail about Maite Rodriguez, who drew a heart on the right toe of the green high-top Converse sneakers she wore every day. His wife Camilla in the briefing room holding up the sneakers.
These are the same green Converse on her feet that turned out to be the only clear evidence that could identify her after the shooting. How about that?
Karen Travers, ABC News, the White House.
Philadelphia police are looking for a third suspect in connection with Saturday night's deadly mass shooting. The polls will close in an hour from now in New Jersey and in Mississippi, 2 of the 7 states holding primary elections today. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen says inflation is a problem now, and it probably will be for a while.
I think that bringing inflation down should be our number one priority. And President Biden, in an op-ed on inflation in recent remarks, has indicated that it is our top priority.
She tells the Senate Finance Committee that the nation is transitioning from a period of historic recovery to one of stable and steady growth. You're listening to ABC News.
From the KMET Weather Center for Beaumont, Banning, and the Pass area this afternoon, sunny at 93. Some wind gusts around 25 miles an hour. Tonight, clear skies, a low at 63. Sunny tomorrow, a bit warmer with a high at 99. For the Inland Empire, sunshine this afternoon at 93. Clear tonight at 61. For Palm Springs, sunshine this afternoon at 106. Clear tonight, low at 78. I'm Todd Edwards on Smart Talk 1490 KMET.
Take KMET 1490 AM with you everywhere you go by downloading our free smartphone apps found on the KMET website, KMET1490am.com. You can also go to the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store on your phone to download the free app. Now you can listen live or play any of your favorite programmers' podcasts using your smartphone. Go to KMET1490am.com and download your free phone app today.
The following is a paid program. Views and claims expressed are those of the program producer and are not endorsed by this station. Opinions expressed are not necessarily those of radio station KMET, its management, employees, or affiliates.
Welcome to KMET 1490 AM ABC News Radio and the Southern California Business Report with Yvette Walker, a show dedicated to highlighting successful Southern California businesses and the people behind them.
Welcome and thank you for joining the Southern California Business Report on ABC News and Talks KMET 1490 AM, 98.1 FM, and KMET TV. I'm Yvette Walker, live blasting our signal from the center of Southern California, serving a population of over 25 million. Get us crystal clear and on demand by downloading the free KMET live streaming app on Google Play or the Apple App Store. A huge shout out to the team, Mitch, Bill, and Sean. As always, I love you. And to our special advisory committee, Joseph Rubio, Camila Rubio, and Bill Morris of UCI School of Business. Thank you so much. Don't forget to check out the Jay Kaplan Show, also on KMET on Fridays at 3. Today, I have the distinct honor and privilege to be introducing Mr. Ruben Hernandez, veteran of the United States Marine Corps, founder and president of Veterans Housing Alliance, a nonprofit working to end homelessness in our veteran population through education, collaboration, and veterans benefit resources. Ruben Hernandez, founder and acting president and executive director of Veterans Housing Alliance, a nonprofit whose mission is to work with U.S. military service members and veterans. The goal is to provide resources, assistance, affordable and sustainable housing options to those who seek to realize the dream of home ownership. Ruben is a veteran of the United States Marine Corps and Operations Desert Shield and Desert Storm. As the owner of EGA Homes Real Estate, Mr. Hernandez applies his experience in the U.S. military and as a corporate executive for General Electric and Merck Pharmaceuticals toward providing specialized, efficient real estate services to his clientele, exceeding expectations while building a team of top real estate professionals in the real estate industry. Ruben is committed to enhancing and strengthening military and civilian strategic partnerships in the Inland Empire and throughout Southern California. Mr. Hernandez is actively engaged in veteran-related activities at Riverside National Cemetery, Altavita, Riverside Chamber of Commerce, UC Riverside, Riverside City College, Riverside Mayor's Office, and Semper Fi1, an all-marine memorial honor detail. Ruben serves on the Riverside Chamber of Commerce, La Sierra Business Council, and Military Affairs Committee, a member of UC Riverside's Alumni Association, president of RCC Tigerbackers, and is a regular contributor, sponsor, and volunteer for real estate, youth sports, community, and veteran events and activities. Mr. Hernandez is a member of the American Legion, board member for the Seven Stars Foundation and Meals on Wheels, and member of the National and California Associations of Realtors. Ruben takes pride in his duty to God and country and the Corps as well as the community. Thank you so much for joining us today, Ruben.
It's an honor to be here. That's a great introduction. You got me motivated. I'm ready to say hoorah. Let's go.
Hoorah. Let's go. Wonderful. I love it. So let's start with your journey, okay?
Sure.
Take us through your journey and tell us how it is you became, who you are today under all of these programs, services, boards, efforts, associations that you're affiliated with today.
Well, yeah, I mean, honestly, the genesis for a lot of this really started during my childhood. My mom and dad divorced when I was young, and I, was raised by my mom. My dad was always responsible. He was did 2 tours in Vietnam in the Army. So unfortunately, that era created a lot of relationships didn't work very well during the Vietnam era, so their relationship didn't work out. But my mom was very strong, very disciplined. My dad was always responsible and taught me work ethic and some other, valuable lessons as well that I took into childhood, teenage years, et cetera, all the way through adulthood. But that was the genesis for the discipline, the upbringing, the passion, the purpose, understanding your why and what's important in life, really. And then we took all that into, sports and eventually through college and obviously in different military campaigns. And leadership has always been critical in our household, and no excuse mentality has always been big, and getting the mission accomplished regardless. And so that's transcended into adulthood, really.
Perfect. So, the military was perfect for you. You are a product of the military as well. And as
I needed it.
Discipline, right? Discipline, hard work, and focus. Yeah. And it's really paid off. Wow. So please share with us today, what is the VHA's mission? What is it? What is the Veterans Housing Alliance? Just tell us a little bit about its mission. Absolutely.
So the original, going back even prior to establishing the mission, the co-founder, great Marine Corps brother. Sadly, we lost him recently, Jesse Ramirez Sr. He and I got together and we were just asking the question, what do we want to accomplish? We have a lot of brothers and sisters that were losing to suicide, and we wanted to mitigate, reduce, eradicate if possible. We thought it was, you had veterans that have served in different campaigns all the way through the Korean War, and obviously Desert Shield, Desert Storm, Vietnam. Just campaign, Afghanistan, Bosnia, it went on. And we found it unacceptable that we're losing brothers and sisters to suicide after they served honorably, served this country, protected this country. And for different reasons, it's a very complicated thing, but for different reasons felt that it was, more advantageous to unfortunately not be here anymore. And so that struck a chord in both of us. And I posed the question to Jesse. I said, brother, we don't know anything about nonprofits, bro. What do you want to do? And he said, let's just stick to what we know. We know real estate. And that was the genesis. So initially it's providing housing grants to veterans who want to buy their first home, because as we were researching the housing market, we realized that veterans comprised a minuscule percentage of the overall home ownership population. And that was another thing we found unacceptable. So we took this big issue like suicide and said, how do we just piece this out? We don't know anything about mental health. We don't know anything about workforce development and all this. What if we just focused on real estate, which would allow us to interface with all these different agencies and come together to provide, obviously mitigate suicide rates, but through home ownership And then later on, one of the board members connected with the city of Corona, and they came and said, would you be our partner to provide transitional housing to homeless veterans as well? So that's how it segued from providing housing grants to veterans who want to buy their first home to actually helping homeless veterans with transitional housing. Those are the two missions.
Wow, that is remarkable. The genesis and the mission, how you were able to integrate those very, very meaningful pieces together.
We're passionate about it, Yvette. I mean, it's organic. We're passionate. Marine Corps Semper Fidelis, never leave a Marine behind. And it's also resonates through all branches of the military. They have the same code. They are looking at their brothers and sisters saying, look, we have a mission. And so, when we were, researching and investigating all these issues, we just said, you know what, our mission does not expire just because our active duty careers expire. We need to do something in the private sector, and that's what we did.
Wow. Can you please share with us how your program works?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's two facets of it, as I mentioned. The home ownership side, so any realtor, lender, title, et cetera, any professional, even the buyer, his or herself, can go on our website. It's www.vha1.org. It's a nonprofit. And they can register for a housing grant. So we're looking for veterans that want to purchase their first home, but need help with closing cost assistance. Okay, because obviously money is one of the biggest detriments to them, realizing home ownership. So if we can take that obstacle out of the equation, then we see numbers grow in terms of home ownership. So they can go online. They just submit an application. The board will review that application. One of the board members will contact their lender to talk about how much in closing costs they need, get a little bit of a better understanding of that amount, and also what their story is, because they'll post their story on the application as well. The board will review it and either accept it or modify that amount to make sure that we're filling the gap they need to realize home ownership.
Oh my God.
That's how the housing grant program works.
That's beautiful. So you also mentioned some other subcategories in relation to this effort, mental health, financial literacy, credit repair. Can you please go into more depth about those, services that you do offer those that are coming to you for these grants and for these opportunities?
Yeah, absolutely. So when we first started this process, we didn't know, when you solve one problem, you realize that another problem arises, and you solve that one, another one. And in the military and all branches, we're big on improvising and kind of just not really getting too overwhelmed by these obstacles, but really focus on solutions. So this really helps us interface. We would solve one problem, and then we'd find out we're still leaving people behind. We're still leaving veterans behind. So then we would okay, we have an issue with credit repair, for example. So let's go find a partner, or let's do an educational summit where we can bring in the VA to help with their disability rating. We can bring in credit repair. We can bring in lenders and title, lawyers, CPAs. So on our housing summits, we have an eclectic mix of professionals in different areas that are going to allow that veteran to address an issue that's going to eventually help them get into home ownership. So this process has been awesome. I mean, the city of Corona, U.S. Vets, it goes on and on. CityNet, and the county of Riverside. It goes on and on. EGA Homes, like as you mentioned earlier, a lot of the real estate brokerages out there, lending organizations. If there's an issue, right, we will find a solution. Just know that, because a lot of times veterans and lenders, and they'll say, well, there's too big a gap. We really can't fill this gap. Well, just like being in combat theaters of operation, right? We find a way to find a way. So whether we look at the lender and we say, what if we do this? And what if we do that? And we start throwing these ideas out there, 99.9% of the time we find a solution and we accomplish that mission. So it's allowed us to interface with these folks, and it's built a credibility now where the city of Norco and some other fantastic cities and municipalities are reaching out saying, hey, can you help us with our homeless veteran scenario as well? Or, we have professionals, as I mentioned earlier, from different organizations that are reaching out to provide home ownership opportunities as well. So it's a collective effort of private, public, sectors, individuals, volunteers, board members. It's amazing how everybody's coming together for this cause.
That is remarkable. I love hearing that. And so now that you're on this program, which coincidentally is focused on solutions, opportunities, and success, which is exactly why you're here to share your message, because what it is that you're doing is very focused on that. Not only that, but especially in the success category when you're talking about those that you have successfully assisted through their efforts for home ownership. So thank you so much for that. So
I appreciate that. Thank you.
yes, let's talk a little bit about how you assist your VHA brothers and sisters in accessing their full military benefits package.
Absolutely. So I get calls every week now from either homeless veterans or veterans that are in the process of getting becoming homeless, or people that want to, veterans that want to purchase a home as well. And so the first thing I'll ask them is, do you have a disability rating? And they're like, it's at 10% or 0%. So I'll put them in contact either with the VA, Loma Linda, or the Grand Gouches organization on 14th Street, the Riverside County VA Office of Veteran Affairs, or San Bernardino, or LA, Long Beach, or San Diego, which is a huge VA facility. So like I said earlier, regardless of what it takes to get that mission done, I want to make sure that the veteran is maximizing their disability benefits because they can utilize that money to actually purchase a home or rent a home. I mean, it's revenue they can use for whatever purpose, but we're advocates of home ownership. So we'll show them how to leverage those resources as well and make sure they're maximizing that for what they earn, obviously, because they earned it, they deserve it. So I want to make sure that we're leveraging that to try to provide home ownership opportunities.
That is amazing. So can you just walk us through what, let's say a veteran finds you online, just from start to end in terms of what they can expect when they reach out to you?
Absolutely. So when I'm reaching out to everyone watching or listening, if you are a veteran who's in the process of being homeless or have homeless concerns, contact us. We will put you in contact with the individual, directly with the individual who can assist. It could be a VASH voucher that you can use to get into transitional housing or permanent housing, I should say, like U.S. Vets, for example, or in the city of Corona. They did a fantastic job in the Corona of converting a hotel to permanent housing, where the VHA will help with the first and the last. So that's the transitional part. And then Karen Roper and her team and those folks will actually help transition that veteran into safe permanent housing. On the home ownership side, as I mentioned, they can go online or they can contact us. Again, we'll determine, what your VA disability rating is and if you've maximized that. So that's where we rely on the VA and the county, different county organizations, et cetera. And they'll come back and say, hey, I'm good to go. We will rely on lending professionals who will do a free, everything's free, by the way, no cost. So they'll do a free pre-approval process and find out what obstacles, whether it's credit repair or it's money, or whatever that issue is, we will collectively work as a team to mitigate those issues so that we can get them into home ownership. So we diagnose and then we treat, just like a doctor.
Wonderful. And so what are a majority of the challenges that you're seeing from those that are coming to you asking for support, assistance, resources? What is
absolutely? That's a great question. Thank you. Yeah, thank you for asking. That's a great question. So right now I'm getting several calls a week from veterans who are either homeless or in the process of becoming homeless. And so hopefully the county's not tired of hearing from me, or the VA or what have you, because it's like speed dial, So that's a huge thing that's going on right now, especially as the economy gets worse. I think I just saw gas prices at $8 now. So, it's really becoming difficult for folks to manage a lot of the challenges that are going on economically. We will do all we can to find that specific individual that can help with that process. Same thing on the home ownership side as well. The lending professionals, we work collaboratively. We'll diagnose and we'll get them taken care of.
Beautiful. So are you working with developers right now for specific military housing, veterans housing, or is it more on a case-by-case basis for homes throughout Southern California?
We're doing all the above. So we just met with Tunnels to Towers. That's an amazing organization as well. March Air Reserve Base, they have a project going on for some mini homes. We're working with private sector landowners as well. So we're on the development side now. We are definitely on the resale side, as I mentioned, with our housing grant program. We are working with, as I mentioned, different municipalities and organizations on the homeless side. It's so diverse. It's so eclectic, as I mentioned. Can be a little overwhelming at times, but as I mentioned, there's a team. I even had a fantastic real estate organization, TIGAR, the Inland Gateway Association of Realtors, step up and provide some grants or some fundraising opportunities. IVAR is another great real estate organization. It's just been amazing, but it is a multifaceted, very complicated, very complex dynamic. But we've actually helped veterans go from homelessness where they're at U.S. vets, for example, all the way to home ownership. I mean, the whole gamut. It's like, it's like being on your own 5-yard line and taking it the length of the field and getting in the end zone. So, I mean, it's just an amazing win when we see that, but by no means is it just the VHA. It is a collaborative effort across the board.
And so with that said, who would you say are your major stakeholders that are, collaborating with you, that are really, taking hold of this mission and running with you?
I mean, ultimately, well, the benefactors obviously are the veterans, but the stakeholders, I mean, the county, the VA, the areas. I mean, there's a lot of politicians that have been looking for solutions. Like, what can we do to help mitigate the homeless veteran issue? It's huge. I mean, it's sad in a way, because you have veterans that, like I said, serve this country, but they're all, the county, the VA, the cities, the politicians, law enforcement. These are all individuals that we interface with on a regular basis. Even City College, Riverside Community College, for example, they have a phenomenal veteran affairs organization. I went to RCC a couple of decades ago. They didn't have that, but since that time, they've developed fantastic programs where we can actually get a veteran. Some are even homeless, and we get to the point where they have stable housing, and we try to get them back either into mental health, workforce development, into a local community college to try to get some education under the belt, get some resumes, and trying to get them back in the workforce, into the workforce. But the stakeholders are just everybody involved, even local residences that are like, man, I don't think they really realize what percentage of the overall homeless population are veterans, but it's significant. The last report I read is that of the total percentage of the homeless individuals, 25% of that number are veterans.
Wow.
So that's the last report I read, and it's significant. So the VA is doing a great job of stepping up and providing, healthcare and different things to address the various issues that we face. Mental health, as I mentioned, the counties, they're all doing a fantastic job, but it is a very complex, large problem.
All right, I can imagine. So it's amazing that you have, this very complex, integrated network of support to really assist in the various, facets that you just spoke about in terms of just everything, right? Because it is a crushing problem, especially here in California. So, and it's devastating to hear that a number like 25% of those are actually veterans that served our country. And, it's heartbreaking. And so thank you so much again for doing what you're doing. And as a military, I understand one of the mottos is leave no one behind,
That's
right?
it.
And so that's what you're doing.
Yeah, no one left behind. And I mean that. I mean, it's cradle to grave. I hate to say it that way, but anybody that's served the country knows that a lot of the vernacular we use, it isn't always soft. A lot of times it's a tough issue that it requires tough discussions, and it requires stepping out of your comfort zone and saying, look, that's our mission. If we have this percentage, we need to reduce it to here. And that's not an easy journey, because you asked earlier about the journey. You need to do what you need to do to help that veteran either realize homeownership or help get them off the streets, because there's nothing good out there right now.
Absolutely. So how can anyone that's interested about gathering more information about Veterans Housing Alliance receive more information about the program, and what, if anything, should they have in hand when they do contact you?
Actually, it's very easy. We've streamlined the process. Just contact us. As I mentioned, we'll diagnose. If you don't have a DD-214, that's part of the process. As I mentioned, everything's free. Our board, and I have to acknowledge our board, they are amazing. We have veterans and non-veterans that are all passionate about both of those missions. But all they have to do is contact us. We will help address DD-214 issues, credit issues. We'll help with all of that. Just get a hold of us. And we are going to need help. I mean, honestly, as I mentioned, the economy is getting worse. So a lot of these issues and the community is being even more impacted. So if you want to volunteer, if you want to donate, if you want to come we have a golf tournament next Thursday on June 16th at Eagle Glen in Corona. You want to be a part of that, please let us know. We'll get you involved. You don't have to be a golfer to help. But as I mentioned, we have, folks that don't golf, but they're like, hey, what can I do to help? And so we're getting a lot of support from the community, and we appreciate it 100%. So thanks to all of you out there that are watching and listening, because we really do appreciate all you do.
Absolutely. So for everyone listening, please, Ruben, share the website, phone numbers, contact people. Please let it out right here.
So to keep it simple, it's VHA1, not the old VHA, not the VHA you might be thinking about. I know that was like an MTV VHA. No, this is Veteran Housing Alliance, the number one, so VHA1.org. That's the best way. You can always email either Ryan, RYAN, at VHA1.org or Ruben, RUBEN, at VHA1.org. That's the best way to reach us, honestly, because we get it on email and then we can forward it to the appropriate person that can assist.
All right, so you heard him. Everybody that's listening, I want you to check your phone, Google it, or just
Please.
type in VHA1.org. Check out their list of events that are coming up. If you can volunteer, volunteer. If you can donate, please donate. If you can pass this information along to someone that could really use it, please do that. Sharing is caring, right?
Sharing is caring.
and as we mentioned before, it all boils down to education. So if you don't know what you don't know, how do you move forward? And so that's why it's so important to share this information and this resource out there.
I appreciate it. And if you can't make the June 16th, we understand. Again, no obligation. We're just coming together. But we have a casino night coming up on November 12th. It'll be at the American Legion in Corona. There's two, but it's American Legion Post 742. We have some educational summits we're putting together right now. We'll blast all that out as well. We have a winter formal that we're working on. We'll put that out there as well. We have a Home for Heroes. I can't use Home for Heroes, but we have a Heroes program that we'll be rolling out as well for you real estate professionals that want to help as well. So there's a lot in the works right now that you can be a part of. Just whatever your passion is or whatever your expertise is, we encourage you to pick up a rifle, come help us win this war. We certainly appreciate it.
I love it. I love it. So we're coming up on a break. So for those listening, I'm Yvette Walker on Southern California Business Report on ABC News and Talks, KMET 1490 AM, 98.1 FM, and KMET TV, talking to Ruben Hernandez, veteran of the United States Marine Corps, founder and president of Veterans Housing Alliance, a nonprofit working to end homelessness in our veteran population through education, collaboration, and veteran benefit resources, when we return.
Thank you.
Every 2 seconds, someone needs a blood transfusion. Be on the giving side. Livestream Blood Bank supports patients in 80 Southern California hospitals. Call 1-800-TRY-GIVING for more information and to set an appointment.
City of Hope is driven to making a difference in the lives of people with cancer and diabetes. We accomplish this by conducting innovative research and providing outstanding care. If you or a loved one has received a cancer diagnosis, go to cityofhope.org to learn more about how our innovative approach could change your outcome.
Cal State San Bernardino is home to the only school of entrepreneurship in California. With globally ranked degree programs, you can start your journey today to become a successful entrepreneur. Learn more and connect at entre.csusb.edu.
Ontario International Airport is on to a better way to fly with over 65 daily non-stop flights to more than 20 major destinations and the easiest airport experience in Southern California. Visit flyonto.com/Ontario to learn more about Ontario International Airport today. The University of La Verne is rated first in California for alumni satisfaction. Learn more about accelerated programs offered online and on campus in La Verne, Irvine, Ontario, Burbank, or College of the Canyons. Visit go.laverne.edu. The University of La Verne. go.laverne.edu.
Hi, I'm San Bernardino County Sheriff Shannon Dykes. If you're looking to start an exciting career in law enforcement and make a difference in your community, we are hiring dispatchers, nurses, deputies, laterals, and many more. For a complete list of our jobs and more information, visit sheriffsjobs.com.
Welcome back. For those listening, I'm Yvette Walker on Southern California Business Report on ABC News and Talks, KMET 1490 AM, 98.1 FM, and KMET TV, talking with Ruben Hernandez, veteran of the United States Marine Corps, founder and president of Veterans Housing Alliance, a nonprofit working to end homelessness in our veteran population through education, collaboration, and veteran benefits resources. Thank you again for being with us today, Ruben.
An honor to be here. Thank you so much, Yvette.
Wonderful. So prior to the break, we were, talking about what Veterans Housing Alliance is, who the stakeholders are, generally what it is that you do and how you help veterans, which are an astounding 25% of our homeless population as it stands today.
Yeah, according to the last report I read, it's unbelievably high. I'm sure, they're mitigating that issue. And thanks to the many organizations that I previously mentioned, they're doing all they can to rectify that scenario. I think our mission and our call now is to eradicate. We used to say we want to, reduce veteran homelessness, and now we just want to eradicate it, honestly. And so that number might be lower because that was a few years ago when I read that report. But thanks to the great work of all these organizations, and we're really making an impact. And you talked earlier about that, and really that's the goal. The goal is to impact, right? To make a positive impact, to help as many veterans as we can, brothers and sisters that serve this country, to make sure that that quality of life, right, is what it should be. Since, in our opinion, they deserve it. We all deserve it.
Absolutely. And so as it stands today, please tell us about your team. Please brag on them,
Sure.
highlight who it is that's on your team that's helping you, pull, all of these brothers and sisters past the finish line towards homeownership.
Yeah, it's funny you said team, and it's very widespread. And some of these folks I haven't even met, honestly. But you talked about the stakeholders and all this other stuff. I mean, they're amazing. The team extends, through VA channels, county, city, organizations, public sector, private sector. Our immediate team is our board of directors. They do a fantastic job. Ryan Gullett is the vice president now. We have folks from a diverse background. As I mentioned before, they have the different skill sets that help us evaluate, they help us grow. Everything we've done has been organic. So we have people from marketing backgrounds, finance backgrounds. It's just awesome. But that's our immediate team. It's comprised of approximately 15 board members, voting and non-voting. And we meet, more so now because our golf tournament is coming up, but we usually meet about once every other month or so. And now we meet more regularly because of our golf tournament. But this team is unbelievable. But again, when I say team, it goes up. There's hundreds of people involved in this process. So I have to give credit to every single one of them. It is an absolute team effort.
So please talk about your current projects today.
Sure.
Take us through what it is that you're working on, how you developed them, and what you're looking to see once it's completed.
Yeah, absolutely. So on the homeless side, as I mentioned, again, that's the newest mission. So it's it's so impactful. And I didn't realize just how complex it is. But as I mentioned, there's transitional housing programs with U.S. Vets, City of Corona. As I mentioned, the City of Norco has reached out as well. So we'd love to work with the City of Norco. If you're watching or listening, please incorporate us. I know you've reached out and we're all about it. And then other municipalities are reaching out as well. So we eventually will be in Temecula, obviously, because that's a huge veteran population. That whole corridor. So we're working on those projects to provide additional transitional housing that is predicated obviously on fundraising. So we're doing additional fundraising campaigns. I mentioned the casino night, the golf tournament coming up. There's some certifications coming up as well, some memberships and things of that sort. But so that projects are Tunnels to Towers is another one. I have to mention them through U.S. Vets to provide additional units. I mean, physical homes where veterans can have a safe place to live off the streets, etc. And then on the home ownership side we have housing summits that we're putting together as well. Again, you mentioned earlier through education. We want to make sure that we are educating. It's not just this generation. We want to make sure it transcends to, we call it the babies, which is the next generation, whether they're babies or not, they could be older. Studies show that if you can get to the point where you realize home ownership, then the likelihood that your next generation does as well is far greater. In other words, it grows exponentially. So the mission is not just what we see now, but I think the real legacy is to keep this going, in perpetuity. That's the real goal. But those are the projects we have coming up. Again, we have additional fundraising opportunities. Anybody that wants to get involved, we encourage you to do that. And then we have a winter formal coming up as well. And again, these are all fundraising opportunities that we put in buckets on the homeless transitional side and also on the homeownership grant side.
Beautiful. So for those that are listening again, Ruben, please share with us, how can we support VHA efforts?
Absolutely. Yeah. So again, if you have an expertise. I'm reaching out to real estate professionals. I'm reaching out to lenders and title and, home inspectors and escrows, anybody. And just doesn't have to be the real estate sector. You could be a veteran. You can be, those are the stakeholders, really. The question isn't who are the stakeholders. The real question is who aren't stakeholders, because we all have a vested interest in making sure that our community remains healthy and it remains strong, right? And so, any skill set that you have, please contact us. You can volunteer on one of the many campaigns and events that we have upcoming as well. We'll find a place where we can utilize your skill set. Everything that we do is a volunteer basis. So the proceeds that we raise go to the benefactors, go to the veterans. So if you have something that you want to bring to the table, if you have an idea, hey, Ruben, I have a resource that, I didn't hear you mention, please email it to us. We'll look at everything that comes in. As I mentioned, just in the military, and all the veterans out there know this, we improvise, right? So if you give us a resource, we're going to make the most out of that resource, and including human capital. So we definitely want to put that message out there to say that we are at a point where we can use everybody's help.
Beautiful. So can you just dive in a little deeper into your fundraisers and, kind of go through each one and tell us what it is, we can expect and when they'll be coming up?
That's a great question. Thank you for asking that. So the one on June 16th is a golf tournament at Eagle Glen, right? Last year, I want to say we raised right about $30,000 or so. I think we netted somewhere around 22 to 23. So this year we're looking at growing that number as well. That's at Eagle Glen. We have, the list of donors, the list of sponsors, the list of volunteers. In-N-Out Burger, thank you. Great organization. They volunteered their truck again for us. So if you love In-N-Out, come get some, right? Because it's all you can eat and all you can drink. And so, I'm telling you, everybody is just really wanting to be a part of this mission, and we love it. So thank you. But so we're going to continue. I believe the Women Council Realtors is going to have a booth. I mean, the list goes on and on. The Sheriff's Association, those are folks that were part of this last year, and we're hoping they come back. We have veteran-owned companies. We have a gentleman who puts cigars together is going to come out there and provide that. So you got food, you got drink, you got golf, you got networking, you have a great cause, you have an opportunity to meet other folks to share your values, right? And really, fundamentally, you have an opportunity to make an impact, right? And so whenever I do my pre-event, 5-minute speech, if you will, just before we go off on the golf tournament, I let them know we're here to have a good time, but I really want you to know what you're doing by being part of this effort today. And so this year we'll have a couple of housing grant recipients say a few words on how the VHA housing grant helped them realize that dream of home ownership for their very first purchase. We had a female veteran who that had a significant disability. We've had single parents that are veterans. Just challenge after challenge. And I don't want to make light of this. What I want to do is say that regardless of what that challenge is, our opportunity to address that challenge grows exponentially if we do it as a team, right? So just like we did in the military, I just talked to my colleague who's here in the room with me right now in this conference room. He said, you know what I love about being part of the VHA? And I said, what's up? He says, we have a mission. And he says, for a long time after I got out of the military, because he was in various campaigns as well, he said, we're used to going mission to mission. And then we come to the private sector, we start making our moves and trying to get established and, taking care of our families and all this other stuff. And that's great. And it works. But having another mission, right? And so I think what he was saying, and this is how I kind of, elicited what he said was, you're finding purpose, right? Now, we all have purpose with our families, God, health, family, business, and community, right? There's so much there. But he's saying, by giving, right, it's fulfilling a part of me that's truly making me feel balanced and whole, like I'm making an impact. And he had come on board, and he visited one of our board meetings. And on the very first night, he said, I'm in. You guys wrote 4 housing grants. I think it was something like 10 to 12,000. I can't remember the number. He said, on the very first night, you made an impact. He said, I love that. And I said, well, you're a part of it, but this isn't any individual show. Just like the military is not about one individual. This is about us collectively coming together. He says, I'm in. So that really hit home, today. As a matter of fact, it happened about an hour ago. He just said, I have a mission. I need a mission, man. and he's very well blessed. Obviously, family's good, and his living, makes a great living, etc. And now he can give his expertise and his passion, his purpose, and be involved in something that's greater than himself. And I think that's why we joined the military in the first place. So it's kind of giving us just a little bit of that back.
Absolutely, especially for your brothers and sisters that are out of the armed services,
Absolutely.
right? Absolutely.
It's powerful, people. I want to put that out there. It's weird because in the Marine Corps, and I speak for myself, and this applies to all branches. We go in, we get the mission done, and then we go to another mission, and we go to another mission, and we go to another mission. So in Desert Storm, obviously, I was part of a campaign where all branches came together and did an amazing job. One of the fastest campaigns, I think, in U.S. history in terms of defeating Iraq, or removing Iraq from Kuwait, I should say, and getting them back out. But I mean, that just really illustrated the power of collaboration. And if we come together, we can win wars. Well, we've taken that metaphorically now to say this is our new war, right? Our new war now is to eradicate homelessness, veteran homelessness. Our new war now is to increase the percentage of veteran home ownership. Those are our battles. Let's get this. We got this. The ultimate win is when we see not a single veteran ultimately commit suicide or take his or her life. That's the ultimate win, right? In other words, they're getting help in various areas of what they need in order to rectify the dilemmas and issues that we face whenever we transition out of the military. There's just it's just a complicated series of things. Believe me, I've been through it. But if we have something positive that we can focus on, right, where we're helping others and now we're working collaboratively the way we did on active duty, it is just a powerful dynamic that I did not expect until I was a part of it. So I thank my late great brother Jesse Ramirez Sr. for having the insight. I wish he was still here, but I'll tell you, he really left a legacy with this. And now, to my colleague's point here, he says, I have a mission that I can be proud of, something greater than myself, and I'm in 100%. And that's kind of the people that we attract. It's amazing.
I love it. And so with that said, please talk about additional feedback you've received from benefactors, from municipalities, other stakeholders that are supportive of the Veterans Housing Alliance.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think one of the greatest compliments that we got is when organizations were reaching out to us. As I mentioned, we usually go mission to mission. They reach out to us and say, "Hey, can you help us?" And I'm like, "Yeah, let's talk. What do you need?" Well, we have this issue here. We have a project here. We'd like you to help fill a gap. And sure, what's the gap? Let's talk. So to me, that was like the greatest compliment, because now we're growing organically. Now we're doing something of value and the credibility. So in the military, in all branches, we perform, right? And I guess the accolades come afterwards. We don't brag, like we're going to do this and then, we do it. No, we actually, our actions show first. We actually take action and we accomplish that mission. And then, the kudos and all that come afterwards. Hopefully. Sometimes they don't, and that's okay as well. But the same thing with the VHA is we want to go out there and start fighting this and continuing to win these battles, all these little battles, right? Homelessness and home ownership. And so the greatest compliment is when they reach out and they say, "Hey, can you help us?" And we're like, absolutely. Yeah, we absolutely will. So far we have not said no to anybody, but as I mentioned earlier, resources are limited. They're not indefinite. So we need as much help as we can to continue to grow so that we can help more and more veterans over time.
Absolutely. So let's talk about your expertise in real estate, transactions and benefits when you're assisting towards these efforts for the Veterans Housing Alliances and, those that you're serving.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you're asking about our expertise in real estate, that provided a huge impact. As I mentioned, Jesse Ramirez Sr. Said, let's just stick to our core competency. So the reason I got into the industry over 20 years ago was to provide housing to fellow veterans, because we have a certain vernacular we talk. Like we use a lot of acronyms, right? We'll come in the morning and we'll see somebody in a different branch and we'll make a comment that may not be acceptable in other companies, but we can come in and kind of joke with one another because we're used to that. I mean, that's just a huge part of what we do. And I'm sorry, I forgot your question. I started to digress a little bit.
So let's talk about your expertise in real estate and how you've been able to apply that to the Veterans Housing Alliance and, really serve your brothers and sisters.
Thank you so much, Yvette. Sorry about that. Yeah. So the expertise in real estate, right, we develop helps us, forecast markets, right? It helps us see where we're headed. Like I know where we're headed right now because this is our third market fluctuation, right? So that helps with the housing dilemma. Also, from a networking standpoint, I've networked over decades now, especially having grown up in this area with different organizations. So our real estate expertise and background helps us stay ahead of and proactively guide us to where we need to be. And I think collectively, as I mentioned with our board, because we come from such an eclectic background, when you get that many skills and resources coming together, it is a powerful, powerful dynamic. So as I mentioned, we have the lending, title, all these expertises coming together for a common purpose has been absolutely tremendous from an economies of scale perspective in terms of resources, but also just the passionate momentum. Anybody in the military, that's watching, that served this country knows that, for example, when we work out together, we call it PT, right? Physical training. We help each other get better and better. Like we don't reduce the bar. If we set a high bar here, if somebody's not quite there, then we proactively encourage each other. And that's why we're able to maintain such a high standard in all branches of the military. Well, it's the same thing at the VHA, right? If we have somebody who, might be dropping the ball here, then we'll go in and we'll encourage each other to, get back on track and help. But our expertise in real estate, in finance, in economics, in everything that we bring to the table has really helped our overall purpose.
That's wonderful. It's an amazing catalyst of expertise, passion, and really a sense of purpose, as you said, that is really elevating your efforts, and it's just beautiful.
Absolutely. And that's what we say, right? It's like understanding your why, right, and your purpose is actually greater than understanding your how. You don't really need to understand how, right? So in the military, and again, I'm speaking to the choir for the folks that have served, but if we say metaphorically, like we need to take that hill, for example, right? And let's just say that hill is homelessness and homeownership. They don't say how to take the hill. They just say we need to take the hill. It's up to us to come together and pull our resources together and collectively come, and we will take that hill. We'll accomplish that mission. Well, it's the same thing here as well. We know what needs to be accomplished, but the how is less important than actually understanding that purpose, that passion, and that why. And we have that.
I love it. And so with that said, where do you see the VHA in the next 5 to 10 years? And how would you like to see your programs expand?
Thank you. We actually have had interest in Texas for folks that there's a part of Houston that a Marine out there said that they would be interested. We've had an Army veteran in Alaska, believe it or not, reach out as well. So I think we're going to continue to expand our roots here locally in the Inland region, in the Inland Empire. But I think over time, we're starting to see interest in different, thanks to social media, I guess, starting to see interest in different states as well. So I would say over the next 10 years, we'll definitely be in several other markets once we've made a significant impact in our own backyard, which is in the Inland region.
Right. So you anticipate going national very soon. 5 to 10 years is a brief period of time.
It's aggressive, I think. It's aggressive. But again, if you have individuals that share the same values and that same mission, I mean, there are roughly 400,000 or so. I did the numbers here. I mean, there are a number of veterans in this area, for example, and not just veterans. You're talking about stakeholders, as you mentioned earlier. You're talking about people that share this vision and these values. That number is huge, right? And then when you compound that with the fact that the economy is getting worse, the percentage of homeless individuals is getting. I mean, these problems are getting worse, and the economy is getting tougher and tougher. We're starting to see a greater need and a greater number of people that want to get involved in this cause and in this mission. So again, thank you to all of you for being a part of this. The mission is far from over. But I think over the next 5 to 10 years, because of that dynamic, we're seeing a compounding effect of individuals in different states that want to get involved as well, because they have the same problems we have.
Right.
They have the same issues that we have. Like, I mean, they might be $1 cheaper in gas, but they're still up to $7, just like we are. So that's where I see us over the next 5 to 10. But again, I want to make this clear. We really need to focus our resources locally to ensure that we are where we need to be, and then we can scale this model in different areas as well. We're not quite there yet.
Beautiful. So earlier in the conversation, we talked about the mental health element of your program. Mm-hmm. Please talk about how that impacts Veteran Housing Alliance benefactors and, the resources that you're able to provide them.
Yeah. So mental health obviously is a huge issue. I know very few people that don't know somebody that has taken their own life. Right. That latest report I saw was roughly 22 a day, roughly 1 an hour. So that's a huge issue. I mean, it's huge. So if you look at the mental health component of this whole thing, that's far outside my expertise. I don't But we do, as I mentioned earlier, we get to interface with these folks as well. So bringing all that together, we're seeing an impact in that area as well, thanks to the VA, thanks to the county, thanks to these other organizations. Again, the VHA is only one small part of this overall battle, but we're starting to see improvements in those areas as well. And it's not just medication. I mean, there's literally organizations where you can go surf, for example. Just there's many, but there's an example. You can go if you're a veteran that suffers from PTSD, which is a tremendous problem that we didn't even have a diagnosis during the Vietnam era. Before they would call it shell shock. So for our World War II, for our family members that had family members or our listeners that had family members in World War II, back then they would call it shell shock, right? In the Korean War, shell shock. My dad going to Vietnam twice, he suffered from what I know would be PTSD, but they didn't have a diagnosis, so they called it what they called it. In today's generation now, everybody that comes out of the military, as far as I've heard, gets some sort of counseling or some sort of evaluation and resources to help mitigate those issues. But that problem is far from over. I want to make sure that I hit that perfectly clear, is that right now is really the underlying thing that we're really needing to address.
Right. And so do you have a direct pipeline to the various armed services branches that, are bringing those veterans to you and re-assimilating them to non-active status? We do and we don't. We need more. We've done some things on Camp Pendleton. We've done some things at March Air Reserve Base. By things, I mean some presentations as well, to let them know there's some additional resources. Because when I transitioned, my last tour of duty was in Okinawa, Japan. When I transitioned, I literally got my sea bag, which is what we called it back then, put it down, and I was like, okay, what do I do? I had 1 week of separations. Now there's nonprofits. Now there's social media. Now there's opportunities so that before you get out, months before you get out now, you can take advantage of employment opportunities, college opportunities, et cetera, and segue into civilian life in a much more efficient manner than what we did. So we do have access to some of these local divisions on base, but we can use a lot more. So if you're a viewer or listener, please, if you work in one of the divisions of separations, for example, or if you have a division like family services, we would love to do a presentation and help your folks transition effectively into the civilian life. That's beautiful. So can you please talk a little bit more about your golf tournament and where people can go to sign up or support the Veterans Housing Alliance? Absolutely. Thank you for asking that. I appreciate it. Yeah. So www.vha1.org. Come out and support. Again, you don't have to be a golfer. You'll see when you get there, there's a bunch of good folks that are out there taking some time. And actually, we all share the value of wanting to eradicate veteran homelessness and to provide housing grants and see the percentage of veteran home ownership increase. Just come out. You'll see. You don't have to be a golfer. You can just come meet some good folks. You can come promote your business. It's fine. If you're a veteran-owned organization or business, please come out as well. I have a couple coming out this year that I'm very, very proud of, because you have veterans, as I mentioned earlier, that have taken a really positive road by starting their own business and becoming entrepreneurs, which I think is awesome, near and dear to my heart. But yeah, come out. It's very transparent. It's very welcoming. It's very fun. We might get a little crazy. We're a bunch of, some veterans out there having fun, but sometimes I think the civilians are a little crazier than the veterans. So, but come on out. It's fun. It's a great cause. As I mentioned, this year, we're going to have a couple of individuals talk about what the housing grant has meant to them as far as home ownership opportunities. And I really want to solidify home, I really want to hit home the fact that it's not just about golf, that it's really about the underlying purpose and mission. Beautiful. So very briefly, please, if there's one message you can give veterans that are listening to you today, what would that be? You know what? Let's keep this going. To all the men and women that serve, that wore the uniform, I'm honored to be called your brother, and I'm honored to have you as my brothers and sisters. Let's continue to come together. Whether it doesn't have to be veteran homelessness or home ownership rates. Just find a purpose, find a passion, find a calling. Let's do all we can to impact this community and address a lot of the issues that we're seeing take place. I'm here for you regardless, and I'm honored to, like I said, have worn the uniform with you. Thank you so much. Beautiful. Thank you so much for being with us today, Ruben. I'm honored, Yvette. Thanks again, and thanks to your team as well. They're amazing. Beautiful. Thank you. All right. For everyone listening today, don't forget to look for us on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. Check us out on scbrtalk.com, and don't forget to download the free live streaming app on Google Play or the Apple App Store. Don't miss my interview with Ben Dake, a technology consultant of Blue Ocean Assets Management, for the part 2 of a part 3 series aimed at understanding the landscape of cryptocurrencies and its impact on the future of global financial systems. I also want to invite everyone that's listening, all the ladies, to a great upcoming event on Thursday, June 9th at Red Hill Country Club. Beauty Bubbles and Bites, a ladies' night out to benefit the Hope Through Housing Foundation, an organization that is dedicated to breaking the cycle of generational poverty by implementing programs that empower individuals and change communities. They deliver services and support to low-income residents within national core apartment communities aimed at building bright futures, creating pathways to economic empowerment, and building connections to care for seniors. Call Alyssa Cotter for more information at 909-204-3446. Again, that's 909-204-3446. Next week, we will have again Ben Dake for the final part 3 of a 3-part series aimed at understanding the landscape of cryptocurrencies and its impact on future global financial systems. Ben Dake is a technology consultant in the Southern California area with 28 years of experience consulting on matters ranging from acquisitions of companies and large property upgrades to the day-to-day management of both small and medium-sized businesses. Do not miss it. We will see you next week.